I'm Representative Pam Powers Hanley from LD9, and I have worked in the background on the ERA at the legislature for several years, even before I got elected. I was working with Victoria Steele, whose seat I took, and when she stepped down. And so I worked with her in the background. It has been suggested in the Arizona legislature for many years. Victoria suggested it 3 times, proposed the ERA 3 times. I did it twice after she stepped down in 17 and in 18. And in 17, you might know that the state of Nevada ratified the ERA. So that was the first state that had ratified it since the 70s. And so that, sort of sparked everything up again. And Dr. Randy Freese, who's my seatmate in the legislature, after we started talking about it, he comes into my office and he goes, "I didn't know, it's been a long time." I said, "Yeah, it's been almost 100 years, since the ERA was proposed." And he goes, "Well, we really have to get this heard." And so he and I sort of had the same idea that once Nevada did it, we had to try to get it on the floor of the House. It had never been debated on the floor of the Arizona House. It was actually debated and passed in the Senate in 1972 when Sandra Day O'Connor was president of the Senate, which seems pretty surprising that we actually had a female president of the Senate in Arizona in 1972. And so it had never been debated in the House, and so he is really good at studying the rules. And so he comes in with a little rule book. I thought about putting a striker on. So this is something that's often done in the legislature where they have a bill they want to have heard. It hasn't really been proposed. They have these other bills that they call vehicle bills, which don't do anything, right? So if you want to have something proposed at the end and passed, you can take this vehicle bill that doesn't do anything and put your bill on top of it, and it's called a striker. So I thought, well, let's do a striker with the ERA, right? Let's find a bill that doesn't do anything, because there's a lot of them, and attach the ERA to it. But we had just passed the striker deadline. So Dr. Freese comes into my office and he goes, "Well, I found this rule that says that if a bill has gone far enough in the process, that it could have a forced vote on the floor." So that's where we were going with this. And so I don't know if you've ever listened to the videos at the legislature, but they talk about the COW, which is the Committee of the Whole, when we do the debates, and they talk about third read. Well, in the Arizona legislature, we have to read every bill 3 times aloud because initially in the Arizona legislature, not all the legislators could read in 1912. And so it's called a third read. So if you ever listen to the video, you have this guy in front going, that's like the first and second read. And so the ERA had gone far enough in the process that we could force a third read vote. We met with the lawyers, we were trying to keep it quiet because we knew if the other party got hold of what we were up to, that they would try to shut us down. So we basically met with the lawyers, everything was okayed, we knew exactly when to do it, and so we proposed it at a certain time, and they were shocked that we had actually brought this to the floor. And so they went to the lawyers, and the lawyer says, "Oh, they already checked with us, they can do this." And so what they did was they proposed an alternative measure, which was to recess. And the newspaper headline was, GOP votes to go to lunch instead of voting on the ERA. And so what we said, well, a vote on recess is a vote against debating the Equal Rights Amendment. So in 2017, almost every Democrat stood up and told a story about equal rights for women. And many of the young men, especially the Latino men and the Native American men, they talked about being raised by single moms. I mean, there were touching stories. And so basically in 2017, we had 2 Republican women who voted for the ERA, and everybody else voted against it. In 2018, we did the same thing. We had a lot more people show up in 2018, though. We had the League of Women Voters, who brought like 70 women up to lobby for it. We had the university women who also came up. We had the Handmaid's Resistance, so we had a whole group of women coming dressed like the handmaids from The Handmaid's Tale with the red robes and the white hats. They sat in the Judiciary Committee trying to force them to hear the ERA. They still didn't do it. So on Equal Pay Day in 2018, so that's the day that women have to work how many extra months before they get equal pay with men, and that's white women. That's not all women, right? This is like April 14th or so. And so we did it on April Equal Pay Day, and again,